I still remember when Whoa Vicky said she got invited to a party in LA where they have to take your phone as well as a drop of your blood. Now that sounds like cap, but LA gets pretty weird once you go up in them hills. Also, my mom knows a guy who I obviously can't name, but back in the 90s, he was a big time drug dealer in Chicago, and he was connected to Bishop Don Juan, which is an old man that's famous in Chicago for being a pimp. And yes, he's been all through Hollywood, and I wonder why celebrities would have a pimp around them. Anyway, they both got invited to a party at Snoop Dogg's house in LA sometime back in the mid to late 90s, and he's from Chicago, and Chicago people tend to over exaggerate things, but his exact words describing the house when he walked in were somewhere along the lines of drugs piled to the ceiling, as well as women, most likely escorts, in every room. And he says it was too much for even him, so he immediately left once he started looking into these rooms. And years later, Cat Williams would allege he saw similar things at mansion parties before everyone thought he was crazy.
These big ass mansion parties, and the mansion party, the whole mansion is a party, and then it's a separate party in the little rooms, and you fuck around and look in the wrong room and shit.
And again, we still hear strange stories today, like the high school girls that allegedly get invited to Drake's house. So anyway, Diddy's first party was in the Hamptons, East Hampton to be specific, and if you don't know what the Hamptons are, it's a very affluent area where wealthy people live, at least part-time, since many of them have summer homes here. And for reference, this is what rent looks like in East Hampton. I literally laughed when I saw this because my brain could not come up with any other response to the ridiculous prices I was looking at. Now back to this first 1998 party, Paris Hilton, who was basically the first influencer to exist after the internet was created, was there, and she said everyone was there. So this seems to be the start of rappers and entertainers coming to the all-white parties and all-white parties being associated with rappers. So what happened in 1998 to give Diddy the power and influence to get everyone at these parties? Well, for starters, you all know who earned Diddy his first big check in music, the notorious B.I.G., who had just died a little over a year before this party, but just 4 months after B.I.G. passed, Diddy immediately capitalized on the situation and dropped his first and still to this day his best-selling album. Now, of course, since it was dropped so fast, it's implied that he started work on the album while B.I.G. was still alive, but of course this is where the rumors come in, like one in particular from Gene Deal, a former bodyguard for Diddy, that alleged he somehow had prior knowledge in some way of what would happen to Biggie if he went to LA, which is where he ended up dying. And while this is still considered just a conspiracy theory, one thing that is very strange to me is when his mom filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the city of Los Angeles, a key witness who was expected to testify took psychiatric medication right before the trial, which resulted in him suffering lapses in memory, which also resulted in him becoming an unreliable witness. And it all eventually ended in a mistrial, and the family filed 2 more times, but the second time they accused 2 LAPD officers of being complicit in some type of murder plot, but the judge ruled that the family had not complied with California law, and the third time it was just straight up dismissed.